Hey guys, new video here. I would like to talk about an update to my Winter's Orb build. I got it to level 99, and I think I'm in the final iteration. This is actually like Mark 3. There was a little change I made earlier, but I didn't post that video because I knew that it would change later. So this is kind of like finalized for how I want to map, strictly tailored for mapping. So I'm going to do this tower map. And then also in this video, I want to talk about some Atlas strategy updates, what I've changed with my Atlas, why I've done it, and some super double secret tinfoil hat stuff that a lot. Oh, the nurse! Wow, off the first map. Okay. Whoa. Whew. Okay, I was trying a long time last night to get that thing, but that's pretty cool. Okay, so I'll talk about like some tinfoil hat about the Atlas, and I'm gonna show you some gameplay here with the new and I think improved build. Right, this is like it really feels like something special here. With this new Winter's Orb build. And what have I changed? Because this is an update video, right? I'm not even using divination skips. So the update is that basically the biggest change is that I am using Herald of Ash and Herald of Ice, and I've dropped aspect of the Spoder. Now, if you see here, you can't see it right now because like they nerfed the fortification so that it doesn't spawn too many mobs anymore, and especially doesn't spawn rare mobs. I'm gonna pop my hot circle here. Hot circle is the bursty damage. Okay, let me just grab these guys real quick. Oh, 1 second. Grab this guy. Ooh, 7 per turn. That's PogChamp. And then let me grab some loot over here. So as you can see, it's pretty smooth. Obviously, I also dropped a what's it called? I dropped the Whale Blade Vortex, right? So my big bursty button, like all the blades spinning around and AoE down everything, that has also changed. Okay, look at that. LOS the Ice Nova there. And I'm just going to go over everything after this map just so you can see some gameplay. The purple swirlies with a little black hole in the middle, that is actually Herald of Ash, right? Normally you're used to like a little red circle, but it's just an MTX to make it more visible. And I personally think it looks way cooler with that MTX on there, right? So almost done. I think that this is the last, actually the last level of the tower here. So you can see that the Herald of Ash there is kind of covering everything. And the great thing about Herald of Ash is that it basically procs that AoE off every kill, right? Because it's based off overkill damage. So I'll just show you the gem after this, after I finish this breach. 1 second here. Kill all these guys. That breach was taking a little bit long. I kind of want to just talk about the build and all the Atlas updates and stuff. So I just want to show you a little feel. This is a tower map, of course. Pretty linear layout, pretty fun. I like it a lot. Wait, is there really another? Wait, how many levels are in tower? Look at this. There's actually another level up here. So I'm gonna go up here. I'm gonna wind. I'm just gonna run through without even casting my thing, so you can see how much faster it is if I choose not to cast it all. Right, like my stacks go down a little bit. I reset it, and then I'm off to the races. Go over here. What is this shrine? Can't see. It's a brutality shrine. Nice damage. And then that is the map. Okay, cool. So that's the map. As it's pretty darn smooth. Now, why did I change my Herald? Ooh, lights flickering in my hideout. So why did I change the Herald? So before, what I was doing was I had aspect of the spider on my ring, and so I was enabling that. That's a flat 25% reservation, and then I was just using Herald of Ice, and then of course Grace for movement speed, and then the temp chains was free from my amulet. So the reason I changed is because I was thinking about it. I was like, you know what? First, when I was using increased duration on my 6th link, I realized, if you watch my last video, that I didn't need the increased duration. So the big change there in Mark 2 was cold to fire support. So cold to fire support, basically, it switches half to fire, but also like a little bit of the cold is gained as extra. So you can think of that as a more multiplier. So then when I hovered over my tooltip and you look at the actual damage, it's mostly fire damage, right? Like more than well, actually not more than half because of all the other stuff. But if you look at the fire damage there, the fire damage was more than the cold damage. And then because the elementalist gets this node very early on, and it penetrates, right, when you're affected by the herald of that certain element, I was like, you know what? am I penetrating enough, and am I getting the benefit of the Herald to the maximum efficiency with just Herald of Ice? And I realized that I really wasn't, right? So I wanted to switch to Herald of Ash so that more damage was actually doing the penetrating. And then another thing is, like, when I was running through the map, I realized that Herald of Ice wasn't even going off that much. And the way you can tell is, like, here's, okay, say what you will about grinding gears, like pricing on their MTX. I personally love the MTX, but you gotta say that the MTX really aids you in seeing the effect. So if you have like a normal effect, like sometimes it's hard to see with all the particles in this game currently, right? The game's like gotten way faster, lots of stuff on the screen, lots of things exploding. And so when you put an MTX on your skills, in this example, I have Bloodguard on my Herald of Ice, and I have Celestial on my Herald of Ash. It makes it undeniable when the effect actually goes off. So I know when my Herald of Ash procs. I know for sure when a mob is exploded and the Herald of Ice goes off. And the reason I know it because like these are like some giant red spikies. That's like the black hole effect that you saw, the swirly purple effect. And this is great because after doing some testing, I realized my Herald of Ice wasn't even going off like that much. It was helping me clear. Right, I am an elemental. It does go off significantly more than, like, you know, if I was an elementalist, but I was like, you know what, it doesn't go off to a consistency that the Herald of Ash goes off at. So the Herald of Ash, basically, the way it works is that if you overkill, basically if you kill an enemy, right, let's say it has 100 HP, and I hit it really hard for 200 HP, well, that extra damage is counted as overkill damage, right, and it will explode in a fiery nova. Important to note, Herald of Ash does not hit, so you can't do curse on hit, you can't do things that rely on hits, but it is an AoE, and it's based off of a quarter of the overkill. So in this example, if I hit for 200 and I kill a 100 mob, a 100 health mob, then a quarter of that 100 overkill will be like kind of AoE'd and burn the surrounding monsters. Okay, it's kind of cool, and so that is significant, and it goes off anytime there's overkill. And if you really think about it, most of the white, blue, yellow mobs are going to get overkilled by quite a bit, right? Because like they don't really have much health even in T16 maps, right? So so your overkill damage is going to be significant. And what else? Well, if you look at the, also the what Herald of Ash gives you at level 21, it gives you 13% more spell fire damage. So if I were to take this off, basically what would happen is that what's it called? Because Winter's Orb is a spell, I will get a little bit less. It's not 100. It's not 100% of that 13% because obviously I'm split damages if you look at my tooltip between different elements, but it does give a respectable level of more multiplier, right? Think about, like, let's just say it's like 6% or something, right? You could check this in POB. I forgot what the actual number was. And then another thing is that this actually can be supported. So a great thing about Elementalist and why I chose the Herald of Ash is if you use a Herald here with Mastermind Discord, it has a massive reduced mana reservation to the point where right now I'm supporting Herald of Ash. It has an Enlighten on it, but it's supported by burning damage, right? Which is a 1.2. It's not that bad. And then if you look at my Herald of Ash, it's 20%. If you look at my Herald of Ice, it's also 20%, right? So it's pretty good stuff here, okay? Pretty tasty amount of mana reserved. And if you look right here, I now have 219 mana, where before when I was using Aspect of the Spoder, I had like 80 mana, so I can cast as much. So right now, look at the top left of my screen. I hold down my Winter's Orb, and I can actually get to 12 stacks with no leech, right? 12 stacks is easy with one set of mana, and then so obviously cannot regen maps and stuff like this, like getting to your higher level of stacks before you need to leech back that mana is a very nice quality of life thing, because on the old setup when I had 80 mana, I could only get to like maybe 6 to 8 stacks on the first initial cast when I enter a map, and then so you'd have to kill a mob, leech, and then cast again to get 12 seconds. Not really that big a deal, right? Because like Winter's Orb is not really too mana intensive anyways, but it's a little quality of life thing that I think a lot of players will enjoy, especially because there's always this comparison of, I don't like BV, I won't like Winter's Orb. BV is so clunky, Winter's Orb must also be clunky, but it's just not the case when you make quality of life adjustments such as these. And then because I'm supporting this with the burning damage, the burns are actually quite significant around. Especially if you kill like a white monster, and they prolif everywhere, right? Because the overkill is just higher, naturally higher. So it does help you clear, because essentially every single monster you kill, maybe besides like a boss monster, will have significant burn damage spreading all around the point of kill. So it was, I noticed that my clear went up quite a bit. I was like kind of amazed by the quality of life that adding a Herald of Ash was, or a Herald of Ash. I was amazed by the quality of life that Herald of Ash added, is what I'm trying to say. Now, you could also support this with like Swift Affliction. I actually tried out dropping Herald of Ice and adding in Swift Affliction, and that actually works, and that's really nice. But then I took it out, I tried it, and I was like, these two are enough, right? So then I was like, you know what? Aspect of the Spoder. Let's think about Aspect of the Spoder for a second, right? And I thought, okay, Aspect of the Spoder is 15% increased damage taken, which is a natural more modifier there. But then it is on a 1 second tick, which means that if a mob is near you, it's 1, 2, 3, right, for the 3 seconds. And then I thought, if you looked at like the speed at which you're running around the map, are monsters really even getting the chance to be stacked that much and hindered and stuff? And I guess like the Betrayal guys, yes, but most of the monsters, because once again this is a mapping build primarily, most of the monsters like don't have any time to get stacked. So you might get 5%, 10% at the most, right, before they get exploded. So I was like, you know what, that's and for 25% mana reduction, although it's good, I was like, let me try Herald of Ice, because once again, I'm still not like half, but like, a decent amount of cold damage, and once again, penetration if I'm affected by Herald of Ice, the 25% cold res penetration. So I was like, okay, if I slap this in, and then it will affect my Winter's Orb, and it'll affect my my Herald of Ice, right? If you hover over the Herald of Ice, now this is mostly cold damage, so it helps my Herald of Ice. That's pretty awesome, right? Because you have to remember that if a tiny bit of your clear is Herald of Ice, a tiny bit is the Winter's Orb, a tiny bit is the Herald of Ash, you want to like make sure that you scale like everything, not just the main skill. I think a lot of times in builds, people don't think about the secondary effects. They only think, okay, my main method of doing damage is like I shoot my tornado shot, I shoot my Winter's Orb, I shoot my tectonic strike, right? And they don't think about the secondary effects like the Herald effects and things that will actually help their clear and their damage. And so after thinking about that, I decided to put back in Herald of Ice, and I am dropping Aspect of the Spider. Now I'm still keeping the ring because it's a nice life Warlord's Mark on hit and a resist ring, but overall, I feel that the Herald of Ice is a bigger boon to my character than Aspect of the Spoder. So you might want to switch these around and test out which one you like better. But after doing quite a few maps, I decided that I like this double Herald setup with the Grace for movement speed, and then obviously the Freight Temp chains from Solstice Virgil. Okay, so that's kind of like the big swaps there. Another thing I did is I removed Whale Blade Vortex because it was on a 4-link and I didn't think I needed it. I wanted some more utility. So what did I replace it with? Well, my Righteous Fire used to be in the helmet, but now I put it in the boots, and I linked it to, it doesn't have to be in the boots, it's just easier to get 3 red here because it's armor based boots, but Righteous Fire is now linked to increased duration, and I kind of saved a slot because I had my Immortal Call setups, right? Immortal Call, cast when damage, the classic level 1 CWDT, the level 3 Immortal Call, and then obviously the highest increased duration you can get, 2023 is the best. And then, so since I had this set up together, and because the Righteous Fire is too high of a level for CWDT to activate it, so you still, obviously it doesn't like stop you from using it or anything, I have the Whale Righteous Fire here, and it automatically gets linked to the increased duration. So if you look on my thing, 10.6 seconds duration of 39% more spell damage, right? So that's pretty crazy right there, and that's because I have like some I have like the increased duration nodes here and stuff. So that's a really nice stuff, and I felt that was enough to kill all the stuff, pretty much all the stuff in the game, so I didn't need the BV. So what else did I change? So since I took out the Righteous Fire out of my helm, I had an extra slot. So I had initially Temp Chains, Blasphemy, Enhanced to make the enemy super slow, and then there's like not really any other support I could put in here besides maybe like maybe I'll try Ink AOE or something. But I just put it in Empower, right? But I'll try Ink AOE later. But you can put in anything here. So extra support for your what's it called? I'm sorry, for your temp chains. Okay, really nice there. And then other things are pretty much the same. I moved the Grace back to my shield with Enlighten, some Enlightening on. So the one bad thing about this is if I weapon swap, if you see here, weapon swap to check on my Enlightens leveling, my Grace reservation runs out, right? So I have to go back and I have to recast. I always, tiny note, tiny little pro tip. If you can budget your skill links, do not put heralds in your weapons. Like Jolem is fine because if I summon my Jolem, right, and then I weapon swap and he dies because he's in my weapons or shield, and I swap back, I can just cast him again. That's no big deal. But casting auras is a little bit more iffy, right? So, so just short little tip. This is for any build. If you can avoid putting auras, right, in your weapons, then you should, because like you're always gonna be weapon swapping to check on your offhands, and like when your offhands level, you're gonna take them out. It's gonna reset your auras. Okay, so a little tip there. Okay. And that's about it. I think I talked about the Null and Void last time. I'm using I don't know if I talked about this last time actually. Let me check my POB. What was I using last time in the build video? Oh yeah, I was using Null and Void. Okay, yeah. Null and Void is just after more extensive testing, the Null and Void is amazing. It's just like it's so good. So definitely try to use Null and Void on this. But other than that, I didn't really change anything else. The phase run is still linked the same, and that's about it. Skill tree, I've changed a couple things. I took actually the blast radius, and I took the amplify here. Everything else is pretty much the same. And the reason I did that is once again, I was thinking about secondary effects, right? I was thinking about, hey, I know I have like Pendulum of Destruction, which is huge, but like what if I don't have Pendulum of Destruction, right? And the blast radius nodes here and the amplify nodes here, I might even take this one if it's +1 radius, this area effect here. But this helps your Herald of Ash and your Herald of Ice, both of which are AoE and both of which are clear. So that little bit of help I valued more than like 5% life or anything like that, right? So once again, I'm still at level 99, so we'll get to 100 with this. And that's the change to the skill tree. Also, I think I was taking this already, but you can save a point here by going here, like these three instead of these four. But like try that out. But I like that one. So that's the update to the build. I think it's pretty great. And I hope you guys have fun if you want to try this new little version of the Heralds dropping as a spider. Once again, it's always up to personal preference. So if you test something out and you find that it's complete ass, or you need to put back in your BV, or you need to put back in your aspectless spoder, you know, by all means do that. This is just what I felt to be best for a mapping centric character. Okay, so that's enough with the build. Now let's talk about the Atlas stuff. I have changed my Atlas strategy. So currently I am running a full Atlas, right? Atlas strategy time. Full Atlas, everything is completed, 159 bonus. The Elder is still the same. The Elder Orb is on my Moon Temple, and now I'm focusing on tower, running towers, right? I was dropping towers for a long time by clearing all my T15s, but then I was like, now I have enough, so now I'm going to run them. So the thing about tower is that if you run a tower, whether it's 15 or if, for some reason, if you want to T16 it, tower will drop Hydra anyways, right? So like it doesn't matter if Hydra is cleared. If you run tower, you can drop Hydra no matter what. So what does that mean? That means that if you're gonna run a tower and a tower is like 10C, and then you're gonna drop the Hydra anyways, and you're probably gonna sell your Hydras, then why not just go full Atlas for another Sextant? Because the other Sextant will pretty much pay for itself in the long run. So instead of going 4 Sextants, I completed everything and went 5 Sextants on this thing. And the reason you complete these other ones, if you're thinking about it, is if you complete a Hydra and you can drop a tier 16, why not complete the other Jardians? Because they can all, because like if you drop one T16, you might as well drop them all, and then also you get the bonus of 1, 2, 3 extra Atlas bonus for the extra chance of +2, right? So it's like a little mental gymnastics there, but it definitely works out, and I've been having a lot of fun with 5 Cinnamon Towers, like using some divination scarabs when it's really juicy, like hunted traders or nemesis monsters. You know, I was able to get, I think I ran like 40 towers or something. Hold on, let me check real quick. I can actually see this because I ran, let's see, I ran 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let's just say I ran like 40 towers. I ran 40 towers, a little over 40 towers, and I've gotten 5 nurses. Well, I guess I just dropped a nurse here, didn't I? Wait, I dropped 6 nurses in like 40 something maps, right? And so I was thinking, you know, that's pretty good. Tower has the Wretched as well, which you could turn in for Headhunter. So that's why I decided to focus on this. And the layout is extremely linear. You know, it's like very hard to miss any of the league mechanics. It's very hard to miss any of the monsters. The cleanup is nice. And the one thing is, like, I skipped the boss because it's so phased. Like, the boss phasing in this game is ridiculous, and I don't like the boss here, so you just skip it and you save yourself time. So that's pretty awesome. Now, obviously, if you really want to focus on an Elder T16, you're gonna have a little bit of trouble doing that because let's say you drop a T16, right? It's a 1 in 5 chance that you get the actual Elder one, and it's a 4 out of 5 chance to get a Jardian, right? So that's one little thing that's bad about it. But once again, if you're selling maps, this is actually way better, right? So another thing to think about here is you know, whenever you're doing a map, you have to think about like returns, right? And so now I'm gonna talk about something that is a little bit tinfoil hat, and you guys from this point on just like don't watch the video. This is like so unsubstantiated, just from a feeling, just from people watching my stream. We could kind of like see something going on there. Okay, so my theory on the Atlas is that naturally, if you go closer to the middle of the Atlas, you will get more returns. There's a few factors. Factor number 1 is if you go closer to the Atlas, you will get more returns, even if it is shapered or eldered. So what do I mean by that? So what was happening is, like, I was running cells for a long time, right? Hundreds of cells. I was running estuary for a long time, lots of estuaries. I was running toxic sewer for a little bit, and I ran Moon Temple now most recently, and we noticed on stream that Moon Temple, yeah, let's say it has like 1,600 mobs fully juiced, right? A little bit higher than the other ones, some other maps, but we noticed that Moon Temple was sustaining and dropping more stuff than any other map, right? Especially for the sustaining of the T16 maps, right? And so I was like, wait a minute, why is this happening? Other people were confirming too, and then we were like, wait a minute, this is very strange, right? And I mean that in a way that, like, if you elder a Moon Temple, it'll sustain harder than if you elder a flooded mine. The reason, because even though they're both T16s, and let's say even if you use the same number of sextants on them, and quantity on them and stuff like that, it's because the Moon Temple is a natural tier 9 and it's closer to the middle of the Atlas, and then also this one's far away, and so they want to push you to do like higher tier content. So there's a coefficient on the maps that's a little bit higher based on how close you get to the middle of the Atlas, once again regardless of elder and shaping. So like to the point where, like, if you let's take another example here. Like if you shape ramparts, right, it'll sustain overall less than if you did a natural tier 6 like a canyon or something like that. Okay, once again, this is super unsubstantial. This is very tinfoil hat, but we noticed that by doing the Moon Temple. And it's been insane because you know, cells in Moon Temple have pretty much the same monster count, right? But Moon Temple, sometimes I was triple, quadruple sustaining to a point where it was reliable sometimes to like triple, quadruple sustain on this, when I'll never do that in cells. And it's not like I roll my maps any differently, and obviously there's variants and stuff like that, but I've done hundreds of maps. Now, second part of the glowy brain, the super glowy brain strategy. Okay, if you go into a Moon Temple, I tested it out a couple times. I was like, I went into a Moon Temple and I noticed something. there are no chests in the Moon Temple. Now this could be factor number 2. There are like literally no chests on Moon Temple. There's only monsters. You cannot like click on a chest in Moon Temple, right? Unless you maybe get like a league mechanic where you go to a different zone. So I think that there's also the coefficient based on the chests, because if you think about it, if you do a estuary and there's like hundreds of chests and you click every single chest, you might get a map out of it here or there. But if there's no chests, right, given that you don't click any chests or there's no chests, then you would get naturally less maps and less loot. So I think what they do is the game actually takes the number of chests in a map and they weigh that as a coefficient as well against map drops. Okay, so once again, let's say that a Moon Temple has no chests, and then like another like Elder T9 map has a lot of chests, right? And they have the same monster count, same everything. I think the Moon Temple will just drop more because the loot from the chest is just distributed into into the monsters, right? So I think there's like a whole loot pool, a whole coefficient system working in tangent, and I can't prove any of it because I'm too lazy to grab the data. But if you watch my stream, and a lot of people can kind of talk to this, it just might be like, you know, some bias, but like the Moon Temple's really crazy right now, to the point where we thought it's like some kind of bug or something, right? So try out Moon Temple, Elder Moon Temple, see for yourself how you feel when you juice up this Elder map. And I guess hopefully I'm not right, because that'd be ridiculous, right? But I think there's something going on with the Moon Temple, and something with the coefficient of the placement on the atlas, and something with the number of chests in the map. Okay, so I know, super tinfoil hat, but I'm not even kidding. If you watch my stream, you'll see some crazy shit going on with Moon Temple. Okay, when I'm running those. So that's the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Okay, thank you everyone. Bye.